So today we are celebrating versatile libraries, staff, spaces, and services. So with great respect for the effects of the pandemic on us and our neighbors, today we're choosing to focus on the positive today with hope and celebrating all of the efforts. So we thank you to library staff and DDL staff for all your efforts throughout 2020 and for all the support for this event today. And also welcome to our partners who are joining us for this event. The libraries members are here, and please feel free to use the chat throughout this morning to share any ideas and anything that you want to say to everyone. Also today, Courtney Stewart should be back with us. I don't know if she's on yet or not, but Courtney Stewart is back from leave. So we look forward to welcoming her as well. So the agenda for today, after my opening remarks, we'll hear from Secretary Jeff Bullock as soon as he joins us. We're going to experiment with a networking, we'll have a networking experience because that's the benefit of all of this, is for us to get together. Then we will have an awards ceremony, mostly featuring our First Lady, Tracy Quillen Carney, the first Tracy, who is also with us today, yay. Then we'll have a break. And then we will hear from the keynote. I'll introduce the keynote speaker, Margaret Sullivan, for our learning today. So how many of you have attended library town meetings before, or how many of you is this your first? So we hold them semi-annually. This is actually the first one we've held. The last one was in December 2019. And that was on our mapping project with our partners. We did in June, we had a council meeting instead due to COVID. But we hold them to update you on our projects, to share with you what we perceive on the horizon, and to hear from you about your current hot topics. And of course, we have a big hot topic this year, right? So all this input supports our federal LSTA 5-year plan. LSTA is Library Services and Technology Act, the federal funds, and that is adopted by the Council on Libraries with your input, of course. And then you might have noticed on the slideshow at the beginning, you're seeing it here first, the logo for 2021. It's actually the 120th anniversary of the Delaware State Library Commission. And so we celebrate that across all Delaware libraries. We've been featuring that about every 5 years, but I think 120 years is a big one. And we do have this centennial booklet, which has been very helpful, but it's kind of dated now. And although we're not due for another centennial booklet for another 80 years, I do think it might be helpful, just as we're encouraging the public to journal about their pandemic experiences, we might want to capture our experiences as well. I think those in our future 80 years from now might appreciate it if we document that and share our learnings with them. So I wanted to run down a short list of some of the pandemic pivots that we've all shared. This is my short list. And of course, when this hit in March, it was like major chaos. It was like trying to figure out who was doing what. But according to Margaret Wheatley, order emerges out of chaos, which I think for us, because we're connected, that was very true. We've been working all very closely together over this past 9 months. And all of your pandemic pivots have been extremely impressive. All the experimentation, which continues as we speak, but all this experimentation has been very helpful. And many of these new library services will continue beyond after the pandemic. So just a few. So first of all, library parking lot wireless. The DDL and the county IT work together to install wireless in the parking lots, and now it's been requested to expand that around the library grounds. And just a data point, there were over 10,000 uses of that in October. Library parking lots have also been used for food distribution, for COVID testing, and much more. So the delivery was a challenge. Marie helped manage the shutdown and the startup, and of course that changes continuously. And before the total shutdown, or after the total shutdown, so Brooks was able to deliver a lot of what was in the system, but they still ended up storing 17,000 items for us for several months until delivery could be started again. So the vendors have been really helpful in all this too. Virtual programs. Libraries experimented with various online tools such as Zoom, which we're using today, and Facebook and all sorts of things. And we had a virtual calendar, online library cards. So DDL put the ability to register for an online card up almost right away. And there's been almost 28,000 online cards issued. eMedia, Newcastle County helped fund Hoopla so that we could start an additional ebook service because Overdrive and Hoopla have been used a lot of ebook checkouts. Ask a Librarian, Missy's been spearheaded the reference services, and that's been pretty interesting because it's we've been reverting to some previous methods such as phone lines, which we hadn't used for a while. We've installed a phone line for that. And the questions have doubled, almost 400 per month recently. Professional development. This was the big wow. Library staff were using their time very effectively, took full advantage of the webinars. And so Katie gave me this data from, she compared January through November this year and previous year. And the webinars that were offered increased 120%. That was from 92 to 2002. But the number of staff registrations increased by 298% from 1201 to 4,776. So I'm so glad that staff had the opportunity to catch up on some learning and to be connected with libraries throughout the nation who are also learning through all this experience. Curbside Checkout, that's been really cool. A new service, as well as the book bundles, which are super popular, and printing to go and all sorts of things through Curbside. So we will be, Wilmington has piloted the MiFis. We have MiFis, which we're working on developing the pilot, and Chromebooks are still on order, but with faith, they will show up at some point. And of course, many of the libraries are open for PC use by appointment, although that may be shutting down again. So hopefully we'll have the MiFis and Chromebooks soon that you can check out. And big news was the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library went statewide, yay! And it went statewide in August, and that increased from 3,000 in August to over 12,000 registered now, so quadrupled in just a few months. And of course, we want to achieve 100% of all preschoolers to be registered. And today we'll be focusing on developing outdoor library spaces. And of course, you're also been redesigning your indoor library spaces as well. So, so what did I miss? So what do you think that was important this year that that you want to share? Put it in the chat. Add anything that I missed into the chat about how you've adapted to this crazy year. Okay, so now I'm looking to see. Okay, so I've gotten the message that Secretary Bullock has joined us, and I'd like to introduce Secretary Bullock. He is an award-winning library advocate, has won the highest honor from the Delaware Library Association, and super many thanks for his huge support for Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. It's just awesome. So please, Jeff, take it away.
Thank you, Annie, and good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here. I've lost count as to what library town hall this is for me. It's in double digits, I'm quite sure. It's probably embarrassing. I've been around so long, but I always get something out of them, including a little encouragement and just a feel good sort of feeling, which right now I think we can all use. I want to start just by saying thank you to everybody. Thank you, first of all, to our First Lady who's on the line. I haven't seen Tracy in a while. She's looking good. It looks like we may have interrupted some kind of hike she's having along the Brandywine River from her background. But I hope that's going well, and I hope she's doing well during this during the COVID. And also a welcome back to Courtney Stewart, who now has 3 little boys, the oldest of which is in kindergarten. And so you can imagine, and Jimmy, her husband, who's basically the 4th, let's be honest. And she's holding up really well. I think she was probably fairly happy to come back for a little change of pace, but those kids are adorable. And certainly we wish her well. It has been like that old Chinese proverb says, an interesting time for us to be living and hopefully staying healthy, and to still try to carry out our responsibilities as public servants. And there have been a lot of challenges over the last 8 months. But through it all, I have been just really excited by all the good things that we've been able to do, not just in libraries, but enterprise-wide throughout state government, as everybody's worked so hard to try to reduce the prevalence of this virus. But in the area that we're here to talk about today, in libraries, and Annie ticked them off, so I won't go back through the list. We've just done a lot of interesting and exciting things, and I am by and large a glass half full guy, and so I truly do believe that we are closer to the end than the beginning of this horrible virus, and that hopefully come next year with the announcement of some of these vaccines, that we're going to see wider and wider distribution and more people having access to that vaccine, and that somewhere along the line in 2021, we're going to get to some new normal. And that's a great thing, and something that, I pray for every single day. But when we do get there, we will learn a couple things in the library space, as we have in a lot of other areas. And Annie talked about some of them, and some of them, all of them actually, have to do with creating greater access to the services that we provide. And so as we hopefully move back or move into that new normal, hopefully we won't lose sight of some of the things that we did, and we did very well during this pandemic, and we won't let some of those initiatives just die on the vine because we don't have to do them. We don't have to do them anymore. So I think that's kind of the charge for us, to figure out how we do sustain some of these efforts, particularly the ones that have proven successful, both now and as we work our way out of the pandemic, and also how we move towards a broader reopening when we get that opportunity. I want to continue, as Courtney hears me say on a very regular basis. I want us as a department, in Department of State, to just put our heads down and keep pushing forward wherever we can in all of the divisions and offices that make up my department. We have a very aggressive agenda for 2021 that we're doing on behalf of the governor and with the blessing of Governor Carney. Some of those will become his initiatives as well. And I want to make sure that 2021 is just a really, really successful year for us. Not just because 2020 was a little bit of a downer, but because, we're at the beginning of a new term for our governor. And in Delaware, you're term limited, so we only get 8 years. That might bring a smile to Tracy's face that she's only got 4 more years to go. But it is my third governor, and I know how quickly that time passes. And while I hope that the next governor is as supportive of libraries as John Carney is, I don't know who the next governor is going to be. And so we really have to make these next 4 years count. And we really need to get off to a good start in 2021. Some of those things we've been able to front load. Annie mentioned the Imagination Library. I'm thrilled with the Imagination Library, thrilled with the leadership that we've gotten from the First Lady on that. And I came across that little video with Dolly Parton the other day. I don't know how I did it, frankly, but I came across it the other day and I watched. I just laughed because it just shows what you could do with some imagination, no pun intended, and a little bit of resource up front. We're up to, I think, 12,000 or so folks who are enrolled. We need to double that and then double it again in the months ahead. And we need a good strategy, to help us do that. We're going to have a budget in a few weeks. We're just starting to work on that for the budget for the next fiscal year, for fiscal year 2022. Putting that together, there were some library requests in that. Hopefully, we'll get all that stuff covered. Courtney's nodding her head yes. I'll take that as a sign of encouragement. And as a few of you know, and I'll stop with this. As a few of you know, I have embarked on yet another new library project. This one in the city of Wilmington. Annie, I'm from Claymont, as is the governor, and we built a new library in Claymont. And Annie thought that was my legacy library, and it was. But as I explained to her, if you stay in office long enough, you have to expand your legacy. And so my new piece of my legacy is to build a new library in North Wilmington, one of the most underserved areas of our state, and ironically, the area closest to where I live and closest to where the governor lives too. So hopefully we're going to get that off the ground this year as well. I think it'll be an incredible addition to our collection in Newcastle County and all the great work that we do up here in Newcastle County, the rest of the state as well. But that is going to be one of my library goals for this year. And I'm also always sensitive to how much it costs to operate these facilities. And we got a little bump in library standards. Hopefully we'll get another little bump, and we'll put some work into that. We'll put some work into that this year as well. All this depends, of course, on our revenues holding up. So far so good. We had a big dip when the virus, when the pandemic first began in the spring, and then we recovered really, really nicely through the fall. I suspect with this resurgence, we will head back in the wrong direction again. Maybe not when DFAC meets. I think we meet again in December. Maybe not when we meet next, but certainly by the spring, I think we're going to see some softness in revenue. So there will be the challenges to fulfilling our agenda for the year. But you guys are really, really good lobbyists, and I'll probably be calling on you at some point. Keep on doing the wonderful things you do out in the community to contact your legislators and to have them involved and to bring to their attention all the great services that we're providing to their constituents. You might not think it makes a difference, but I know absolutely it makes a difference. And it's the reason that we are so successful, that you are so successful, I should say, as a group. So with that, I'll turn it back to Annie. And again, Annie, thank you and to everybody on the call here, on the Zoom here today, for all the super work that you've done during this pandemic. I know it has not been easy. I know there's a lot of pandemic fatigue right now. People are just sick of it. I'm sick of it. We're all sick of it. And we just, as the governor likes to say, we just got to hang in there for a little while longer because, as the old cliche goes, help is on the way. And I do actually believe in this case that help is on the way. And if I can be just a little partisan for a second, when we get a new president in office come January, I think you're going to see a difference in how we approach these things for the good, and the resources that we need to get out of this thing as quickly as we can. So with that, thanks very much for having me, for letting me speak, and have a great day today.
Great. Thank you, Jeff. That was great news, especially about library standards. I'm so excited about that.
That's where you will focus on. I think that's all you really want to hear.
That's all they want to hear, yes. But it's also to your point about Delaware is now going to be on the international stage, which I think is awesome. So proud of Delaware, proud of everybody. So thank you, Jeff. Courtney, did you want to say a few words? I don't want to put you on the spot, but
as my phone's ringing, no, I just wanted to say that I'm so glad to be back. I miss seeing the whole library crew. Hopefully we'll be successful with getting some additional funding this year in the budget. I'm glad Secretary Bullock is going to help us out with that. And I just want to let everybody know that one of the first things I did after I had my third little boy was register him for the Imagination Library. We picked a name and then I registered him. So
yay!
But I'm glad to be back. Thanks, Annie.
That's awesome. And I do want to meet with you or virtually meet with you. So need some help or need some suggestions or so yeah.
I'm back. We'll set something up.
We'll work on Jeff's list and my list and everybody's list. Thank you. Okay, so next we're going to do our grand experiment of networking. And so as I mentioned, the library staff increased 298% the webinar experience. So a lot of the library staff have had a lot of Zoom and online experience throughout this past year. And as we've all probably experienced, sometimes things work great and sometimes they don't, but it's all part of the adventure. But we wanted you to have a chance to network today. We're trying to keep things simple because we know that you all haven't had this experience. But we're going to experiment with some networking, which means we're going to, and this is, Serena is our driver today. Thank you, Serena. She is going to push a button and that will randomly sort us into breakout rooms. So what's going to happen is when she pushes the button, you'll get a link that says you've been invited to such and such breakout room. Just accept that. And there should be about 5 people in each breakout room. And the question for to discuss is, what 2020 accomplishment are you most proud of for you and your library? So when you get into the breakout room, and this will be 10 minutes. So you have 10 minutes and about 5 people. So everybody introduce yourselves, go around and introduce yourselves, your name, which library you're from and your role, and then go around again and say, share your accomplishments. And then if you still have time left, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. And then we'll come back into the big room. And then Serena's going to do this again. So the idea being is that you'll have be able to network with a different group of 5 people. Sometimes that works. Sometimes you end up with the same people. If you end up with the same people, just continue the conversation or talk about whatever you want to talk about. And then finally, when you come back into the big room, then share in chat anything that stood out for you, anything that you want to share with the whole group. So wait until you get back in the big room to do that, because if you put things in chat in the breakout rooms, we can't see it. So wait until we are rejoined to put stuff in the main room chat. Okay, so did I hit everything, Serena? Are we ready to whisk away to networking?
We are ready. Okay, here we go.